hearing that we need to convene first. And I'd like to read that public hearing announcement. A public hearing has been scheduled to allow interested citizens an opportunity to express their opinions regarding the proposed conveyance of 5 Taylor Road. And may we have roll call, please?
Councilor Arnone.
Here.
Councilor Bosco.
Here.
Councilor Sakala.
Here.
Councilor Crissati.
Here.
Councilor Davis.
Here.
Councilor Denny.
Here.
Councilor Falk.
Here.
Mayor Copeland.
Here.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
Here.
Councilor Ludwig.
Here.
Councilor Suzak.
Here.
There's 11 members present, none are absent.
The following notice of public hearing was published in the Hartford Courant Monday, October 6, 2017. Town of Enfield legal notice public hearing. The Enfield Town Council will hold a public hearing in the Enfield Town Hall, Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, on Monday, October 16, 2017, at 6:50 p.m. to allow interested citizens an opportunity to express their opinions regarding the proposed conveyance of 5 Taylor Road. Ground rules for the public hearing are as follows. There is no time limit, but I ask that each person not take up too much time so that everyone will have an opportunity to speak. After each person who desires has had one chance to speak, I shall permit those individuals who desire a second chance. After those individuals who desire to speak a second time, I shall permit those individuals who desire a third, fourth, etc. time, and we ask that you please refrain from personalities. Brian, can you frame this public hearing?
Sure. Mr. Mayor, thank you very much. With respect to tonight's public hearing, as we had talked about when we assembled this particular budget, one of the things that council had tasked staff with doing was looking at ways to reduce the town's inventory of underutilized or non-utilized facilities. With the planned closure of Hale, we did talk with you about providing an opportunity to do adaptive reuse both at Hale, 100 High, Skidco, the old Skidco School, commonly referred to as the Grange, and then there were a couple of other properties that we had talked about. So this particular property just happened to be first on the list. It seemed to have the most potential to draw in interest. So the town is moving forward with, at the staff level, is moving forward with council's direction from the budget period in seeking the adaptive reuse. In the event we do get some qualified respondents to this request, it may be necessary to transfer the property, and that is the reason for the public hearing tonight.
Great. Thank you, Brian. Then we'll open it up for the public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address the council on this public hearing on the conveyance of 5 Taylor Road? For a first time? What's that? For the second time? For the third time, sensing none, I will close the public hearing. And we will move right into our regular meeting. And I would ask everyone in the audience to please stand for our prayer led by Deputy Mayor Bill Lee, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Dear Lord, as we gather in the harbor of your safety and in your grace this evening, we thank you for the fellowship and the diligence of this council and all of the staff that support us. We thank you for the blessings bestowed on the Enfield community and the gifts of liberty and freedom bestowed on our nation. We ask at the end of this town council term that you will refresh us, inspire us, and continue to fill us with your peace. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bill. And may we have roll call, please?
Deputy Mayor Lee.
Here.
Councilor Ludwig.
Here.
Councilor Suzak.
Here.
Councilor Arnone.
Here.
Councilor Bosco.
Here.
Councilor Sakala.
Here.
Councilor Crissati.
Here.
Councilor Davis.
Here.
Councilor Denny.
Here.
Councilor Falk.
Here.
Mayor Copeland.
Here.
There's 11 members present, none are absent.
Next item is our fire evacuation announcement. I remind the audience that in the event that the fire alarm sounds, we all must evacuate the building. Closest exit would be to the rear of council chambers and out to the front of town hall. If you choose to take the side door, to your right or left We then ask that you take the back set of stairs to the back parking lot of Town Hall. And in the event that an AED is needed, there is one located in the main lobby of Town Hall on this floor. Minutes of the preceding meetings, we have two. First is a special meeting, October 2nd, 2017.
Motion to approve?
By Counselor Falk.
Second.
Seconded by Counselor Denny. Discussion? Sensing none, show of hands. All those in favor? Those opposed? Any abstentions? Unanimous? And the regular meeting, October 2nd, 2017.
So moved.
Second.
By Counselor Arnone first, Counselor Suzak with the second. Discussion on the minutes? Sensing none, show of hands. All those in favor? Those opposed? Unanimous as well. All right, next item on our agenda is our,
Can I interrupt?
go ahead.
Can I add something to the agenda?
Sure.
I'd like a motion that we take a brief moment and we thank Scott and Bill for their service here. Can I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay,
All in favor? Okay.
go ahead.
Would you like to all come to the front,
Sure.
where we normally do this? Yes. Stand outside.
I think you need this.
Make you stand up front.
Here you go, Donna.
Oh, thank you. Okay. Scott, Bill? I'm going to start with Scott. Long before I knew Scott, I actually knew Scott's mom, Mary. And Mary used to say that Scott is on the town council because he can make a difference. And to that, I say, Scott, well done. Scott has served on the town council for 24 years, 10 of them as the mayor this last 10 years. And Scott, you have led us well. You've had a strong guiding hand. You speak well, you speak clearly, and you keep the people informed. You have led us through the millennial, and we're now going to get ready for the next. So I'm going to hand this over to Scott. And first up, I have the presentation, which is the lithograph of the town of Enfield for Scott.
I always wanted one of these. This is nice. And actually, I have remarks for later on. It's the last two. I remember when the Women's Club was selling these, and they're a special rendition of the town of Enfield, nice watercolors. And Donna, thanks for the kind words. I do have something I'm going to say towards the end of the meeting, but I will tell you it's been an honor and a privilege to serve the town. 24 years, I think maybe half of the crowd assembled this evening may not have been around for 24 years, which is a great thing. But it has been, it's Enfield's my hometown, born and raised here. And you always look for a way to give back and make your community a little better place to live, to work, to call it your home, to raise a family. And serving the town of Enfield has definitely been my honor. So thank you very much, Donna.
The next one to be honored is Bill. Bill, what can I say? You're always worried about the future of Enfield. Bill knows every statistic about the town of Enfield. He knows everything that makes us tick. And he sits there day after day trying to figure out, how will we move Enfield forward? How will Enfield face 2020? Bill's well aware of the fact that the town was settled in the 1600s. It has a framework that's difficult to work with. But still, tirelessly, Bill sits to try to figure out the puzzle of how do we move Enfield into the future without losing the essence of Enfield. I always, when I'm on vacation, will send him a picture from here and there and say, look, Bill, this is exactly what you want to do. And he's like, and he grimaces and probably, chagrins at what I do. But I consider Bill my mentor, and it's been a pleasure to serve with him. He will be missed.
Thank you. Whew. Thank you, Donna. I want to just acknowledge that my mom and my two of my kids are here tonight, Jason and Brianna. I want to thank them for coming out. Serving in a role like a town council or any of the elected positions, and even the dozens of different committee positions that we have in Enfield, is an education. It's a big one, and a lot of times it's like drinking water through a fire hose. But I think, as Donna alluded to, you learn that the pace of change is incremental and slow, and that's actually pretty good. And it's, even though we've accomplished a ton of things in the last, while I've been up here, and certainly while Scott's been here and others, the fact that there's always more to do is good. It means that you can never really get too far ahead of yourself. I know, regardless of what chairs are what in the next term, folks up here have a good, solid handle on what needs to be done and how to go about doing it. I think we're very. I'm thrilled with the staff that's in place and the understanding that they have of the vision of what we ought to be doing, and it's always fun getting texts from Donna when she's on vacation, because she goes a lot of cool places. One of the things I think, whenever time I see her or respond to her in one of those messages, it's not that there aren't things that we can be doing here. It's just really discovering them and bringing them here and making them our own. So thank you for the gift, and thank you to the public for 6 terms of allowing me to have the honor to sit up here. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And it just goes to show that I really don't know everything that goes on at our meetings. So thank you very much. We do have 3 special guests presentations this evening, and I want to call on our Superintendent Chris Drezik and Armando Ramos. They have a presentation on an award for special education. So Chris, welcome.
Thank you.
Is Armando joining you?
He will in 1 second.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind me going just a slightly off script. Last week I had the pleasure of being asked to speak at an event. So I had jotted just a few things I wanted to talk about at the event, and I had the unfortunate pleasure of speaking after Scott. So by the time I got up there, everything that I was planning on saying had already obviously been said. And afterward, I was telling Scott at a meeting what had happened. He said, never go last. So once again, I'd like to thank Donna, because on behalf of the Board of Education, we also recognize that 2 longstanding council members are seeking to take a bit of a respite from public life. So on behalf of the Enfield Public Schools, I would just like to thank Mayor Copen, Deputy Mayor Lee, not just for their support for the community over the last decades, I should say, but more importantly to us, the support they've given to the Enfield Public Schools. So I have a small token of our appreciation. We typically reserve these for employees who retire, but we thought it was appropriate to give them to both of you, given all the support you've given us for over the last few years. I will tell you that if you choose to unretire, we will ask for them back. I won't make you come back. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Best of luck with your next
Thank you very much,
free
Chris.
time.
Thank you.
Now I'd like to ask Enfield High School teacher Armando Ramos to come up and talk about our unified sports program.
All right, unified sports allow every student to have a meaningful sport experiences where they can learn the values of determination, cooperation, acceptance, compassion, and sportsmanship. The program is based from a partnership between Special Olympics and the CIAC. We partner students with special needs with students without special needs. The program has been without a doubt an exceptional place for students to learn about themselves and, more importantly, teach them how to make a difference in the lives of others. Our program started in 2014 at Fermi High School. That inaugural year, we had a unified basketball team with 12 very enthusiastic kids, and I knew that it was the start of something special. Today, I am very proud to announce that our program has grown to 48 players participating in 5 different sports, and we have gained national recognition as a Special Olympic national champion school. Being named a Special Olympic National Champion School is an incredible accomplishment because of the 10 criteria needed to qualify. The accomplishment was truly achieved because of the amazing support from so many people of Enfield. It's really a credit to the town and its dedication to supporting all the students of Enfield. And I'd also like to thank you because you guys were a big part of that achievement. It really was a collaboration. All right, I'd like to introduce some of the members of our team. We have Jonathan Silvestri. You can just kind of stand up, John. Say hi. Right here. Perfect. We have Brittany. All right, we have Freddie, Jesse. We have Emily, Vanessa, Cameron, and James. Oh my gosh, Gabby, I'm so sorry. I missed you there. All right, these guys do a wonderful job. And we have a big competition tomorrow. We're going to East Hartford for a soccer tournament. All right, at this time, I'd like to ask Freddie to come down. He'd like to speak on behalf of the Unified Sports Program and tell you a little bit about what he's learned.
Unified sports has meant a lot to me in my high school career. It's helped me form bonds I never thought I would with people I've never met before. It started freshman year, not on purpose. There was a schedule mix-up. I didn't know how much the schedule mix-up was going to mean to me in my future. It took me a bit to get comfortable because I've never been in an environment where winning wasn't a priority. I've played sports that were focused so much on that sometimes I stopped enjoying them and wondered what they were all about. This program helped me understand that sports are a lot more than just winning. It's about including everyone, having fun, and improving, no matter what level you started at. I've been very grateful for the opportunity that I've been given to help other people achieve athletic success. It's helped me grow immensely as a person, taught me that winning is not everything, but being brave in the attempt is. Thank you guys, I appreciate you.
All right. Next up, we have Brittany Wagner.
Good evening. My name is Brittany, and I am a part of the Enfield High School Unified Sports. I would like to tell you a little about Unified Sports. It is a program that works with the Special Olympics and anyone with disabilities. This program is for individuals to feel more confident and not be discriminated against. It's to help with feeling better about themselves and not feel unwanted. This program also has individuals to help out and partner up to help support any individual who may need assistance. I have been in Unified for 2 years, and as a senior, I am going into my 3rd year. When I first joined, I was nervous and did not want to speak up for myself, but now I have more confidence and I am more willing to participate and give more effort for my team. Some of the activities that I have been a part of were basketball, soccer, volleyball, and track. Now this year, we are going to get to play flag football. I love them all, but I think basketball was my favorite. Before every game, one of the partners and one of the unified team players goes up and says, "Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt." And after, we play the national anthem and the game begins. So knowing that I am a part of Unified Sports and what it represents, I am proud to be a part of it and hope that this program will continue for years to come so other individuals will have a chance to experience the program just like I was able to.
Let's have like a quick slideshow. All right, why don't you guys sit? People can see behind you.
Yeah.
All right, this is pretty quick. Uh-oh. Is there something I have to do to start it? Okay. We had a Special Olympic track and field night where we invited the local Special Olympic team. This is the Allied Stars. We had a great little event with them. They were in blue, and we competed in track and field, running and throwing events. That's Gabby throwing her shot put. All right, we made the papers even. This was the Enfield Press. We have Mr. Longy signing our pledge to spread the word to end the word, our little social, we had a little positive social message that we wanted to end discrimination, and that was a great event we had at the school. We made t-shirts, posters, we read announcements, we encouraged people to sign our banner that they weren't going to use the R word anymore. This is some team building activities in practice this year. That's just a banner from the tournament that we went to. It's a little basketball tournament collage that we went to where we won first place. That was our first basketball game that we hosted against East Windsor. It was a great event, a lot of fun. That's our John right there, playing defense. That's the torch that gets lit before each ceremony, where we say the pledge. And again, sportsmanship is pretty important, so we always shake hands with our opponents. This is us in football practice. We're learning how to throw and catch. Right there, it's Jessie. She's doing great. They're throwing. That's Gabby throwing right there too. All right, that's Freddie, Gabby, Jessie, and some of the medals that we've earned through the program. Nice. And that's the banner that we have at every tournament, and that's the end. All right. All right, that's good. Again, I just wanted a couple thank yous. I'll try to make this quick. I know you guys are, your time is very valuable. But I just want to thank the support of the town of Enfield for what they've given. It's really remarkable how much that we've gotten from the school, from the town council, and we're able to do things with this program that not every school gets to do. So we're very grateful. So I want to thank you guys for that support. I just want to thank the high school administration, Mr. Drezik and all our administrators. The support has been great, from the athletic director, the teachers, the fans. They are great. We have so many teachers in the stand supporting us. It's been awesome. And I want to thank two people in particular, too. The first one is Marilyn Crisati. I think she's here behind me. Marilyn was the reason we have the program. She's the one who recruited me and did all the foundation work to put the program in place. And I would not be here if it wasn't for her efforts, and I'm so grateful for that. And her son was actually on that inaugural team, too. So where's Brian?
He's right here.
Right there. He was on that team, too. And last but not least, I want to thank Joanne Cardell. Right there. She's also, she's been my assistant coach
And I'm a physical education teacher. She's the special ed teacher, and I've learned so much from her and how to deal with kids with special needs. And she's just a wonderful teacher, and she's really been an inspiration, as Marilyn as well. But it's just been such a collaboration between so many people to get this award. So I just want to thank these people because they're the reason why we got it. So thank you guys very much.
All right. So, first of all, congratulations and thanks for the presentation. Any questions, comments from the council? Anyone? Bob?
Armando, congratulations on this national award. Joanne helping out. Chris Drezik supporting the program. I have to give a shout out to my wife who started this program at Fermi High School, and she's the one who went to the CIAC and got the original grant to get this program going. And the program has expanded by leaps and bounds as to where you are today. And I think the association that you have with the town and the Special Olympic program and how you guys work together, I think is outstanding. You should be commended for that.
Thank you.
So keep this program going, Armando. We have a lot of faith in you with your work with the Unified program, all your athletes that you have here. Keep up the great work. We'll keep supporting you, and it's great. I recommend to everybody that is out here to participate and be a spectator at one of these. They're very moving. The thing that I really like is that you have students that are partnered up with these athletes, and it gives them an opportunity to see what it's like to be in their shoes. And I like that saying, spread the word to end the word. I think that's outstanding. And keep up this great work, Armando. Kids, you keep up the great work. Keep competing out there, because I know you love it, and we love watching you compete. So congratulations to everybody.
And also, I just want to invite everybody to come down. We have our first official football game on this Friday at Fermi at 3 o'clock. So hopefully, if you have time in your schedule, you won't regret it, because it's just a really great experience. It's very, very enjoyable. So hopefully we'll see you down there.
Mike?
To congratulate both Freddie and Brittany for having the courage to get up here and speak. You both did fantastic. And by the way, you both mentioned that you had a little adversity. You didn't let it get you down. You did the opposite. You actually overcame and you achieved. If you do that throughout your life, not only will you be successful, but we will be seeing you sitting in these seats in one day. You'll be leaders. So that's a great example of not complaining, not, hey, woe is me. Hey, why is it happening to me? How come it doesn't happen to someone else? You accepted your situation and you improved it. So congratulations and great job.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Questions, comments for our first group of guests? And we'll give another big round of applause. Congratulations. Thank you. You do Enfield proud. Okay, our second special guest, I'd like to welcome up Gary Wamokli, our Director of Enfield Emergency Medical Services. Gary, welcome.
Should I? No. I don't know how I can possibly follow the student athletes, and
Thanks.
And I had no idea this would be the last time I'd sit in front of the current mayor and deputy mayor. I brought no gifts.
That's quite all right.
I am not worthy. But it's great to see all of you tonight, and thank you for having me here. It's good to see the town attorney and the town manager as well. This is my department's 5 minutes of fame, if you will. I was trying to come up with something that maybe you weren't aware of, but I think we're fairly transparent and you're pretty much aware of what we do and what we try to achieve. But I did have a small epiphany, And I thought I'd talk about something that I hope happens in the future. And the future could be as soon as 2 years or as distant as 5 years, but I'm hoping sooner than later. And that's the development of community paramedicine, also known as mobile integrated healthcare. And what this is, it actually started as a way to help keep patients out of the hospital that had been recently in the hospital in the past 30 days. So how can we make sure those folks are not readmitted to the hospital? There's cost factors associated with that. There's factors that involve continuity of care, recovery from disease processes, and assuring that the patient is well cared for. So some smaller communities, rural communities, started utilizing paramedics to supplement visiting nurses, especially in areas where the visiting nurse and the paramedic would be the highest level of health care for maybe 100 miles. Some met with good success, some not so much. Just this past legislative session, the Connecticut legislature passed a provision that allows for the development of community paramedicine or mobile integrated healthcare, which is, I think, an excellent, an excellent project. And I think it would fit very well within the Enfield community for a number of reasons. So I made some notes, and as you know, I'm not as eloquent as the previous two speakers, so please bear with me. As I mentioned, this was developed to help keep patients out of hospital, especially those that had been discharged in the past 30 days. It also seeks to set up alternate care models. So when EMS in Connecticut goes out to attend to a patient, someone that's called 911, we essentially have two options for that patient. One, we take them to the hospital's emergency department, or if they're in labor, we can go to the labor and delivery department, or they sign a refusal and we don't transport. Alternative delivery, we would be allowed to take a patient, maybe they've got a minor laceration and we could take them to an urgent care center. Maybe we could take someone to a crisis intervention center if that is better suited for that individual. So we can customize care with consultation from medical oversight. So it's a little less expensive for the patient, and it can potentially streamline the care that they need sooner than later. Let's see. It also helps to establish coordination between home health services and 911 emergency care. The idea of this is not to replace or supplant visiting nurses. There's a skill set that the visiting nurses have that the paramedics do not have, and there's a skill set that the paramedics have that the visiting nurses don't have. We're around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. VNA, while they might be on call, do not have as rapid a response as we do. So there could be those patients that maybe they're on the borderline of having to go back to the hospital, but working with that patient's physician, we could prevent that with some simple interventions. There'll be the opportunity that we can work on a scheduled model so that we can perform well checks on an individual per the patient's own physician or per a VNA if they don't have the ability to go out and see that individual in their home. And we're also looking at the piece that's being worked on right now is how can we get a revenue capture with that? Now, there's a lot of what we already do in Enfield EMS, such as lift assists, which I believe I've told you 60% we end up transporting because we've identified an underlying health condition that oftentimes is acute, anything from a heart attack to a stroke to post-seizure, diabetic issue, And if we just lifted the person up, put them back in their recliner and said, have a nice afternoon, we could miss something that they really need to have addressed. So some of these simple, seemingly simple visits we do, we'd be able, again, to have the ability to have a revenue recovery with that. Currently, what's going on in Connecticut is that there's a work group with the state, Mobile Integrated Healthcare Work Group, consists of visiting nurses, physicians, EMS providers, Captain Erin Riggett, who you all know well. She happens to co-chair the subcommittee for the State EMS Advisory Board, and she's doing a terrific job with that. So she's right on the cutting edge of what's going on in Connecticut. So I will not be here forever. So you need to have someone that is in the know, and she is in the know. And she remembers stuff better than I do nowadays. So far, a few points that the working group has identified: to develop a core curriculum that can be tailored to suit the needs of the service and the community. So there might be something that, say, the town of Suffield needs that we don't need, and vice versa. And so we can have our folks educated to meet our needs and not have to worry about what's going on next door, so to speak. The alternate destinations I mentioned, point-of-care testing. Instead of the individual having to go to a laboratory or a hospital to be tested, we can provide some of that testing right there. Wound care, vaccinations, and I mentioned lift assists that we currently do. So, say, Gary, gee, that's all well and good, but why is this important to Enfield? It fills an at-home care gap, is the main point. It fills that at-home care gap. So when that individual doesn't have to go to the hospital, we can help keep them at home. I think it would be a good fit in the town of Enfield because we are a municipal service. We're here, we're dedicated to the community. We're not going anyplace else, so we're here that 24/7. We can do scheduling if that is how this evolves. And we can use folks that maybe are on light duty that can't carry all the equipment, but they can certainly carry a stethoscope and blood pressure cuff or wound care items. Let's see. And I already mentioned revenue recovery. Better referral and communication with at-home health agencies and the individual's primary health provider. And the bottom line is improved healthcare outcomes for our residents. So those are points that I think are incredibly important. And with the future of healthcare, being really up in the air, who knows what's going to happen with that. I think that we're well positioned to help supplement and augment current healthcare needs for our community. So.
Great, thank you very much, Gary. Questions from the council? Comments? Go ahead, Peter.
I'm not privy to every call that you go on, but we seem to get a lot of correspondence about overdoses. And you talked about non-repeating customers. Do you find that these drug overdose cases come back a second time or a third time, or is it a one-shot deal and they get educated and they don't do it again?
Yes to all of that. Overdoses are not all heroin. It can be many other opiates. And, as far as there's a component that's missing for us to do a better job. And it's not a fault of ours because we can identify those individuals that need that help, that need that care, that should be referred to a rehab center, a behavioral health center, and that's not always possible. And the problem, we could talk for hours, possibly weeks, on the current healthcare system and how they've rolled back the cost and the expenditure for mental health care. And part of the addiction process is within that behavioral health, mental health care. Unfortunately, the notice you received from me, the person acutely recovered and was delivered safely. When they're at the hospital, they are afforded the opportunity to get into rehab or get into a program. But depending upon the person's insurance, depending upon the availability at the rehab center, the time of the day, to be able to get that person where they need to go, if they are willing to go. So these are all factors that play into that. And, doggone it, I really do wish sometimes I had a magic wand. So that's kind of a long roundabout way, and I probably didn't answer your question.
Repeat
Councilor Falk.
customers, that was it.
Yeah, we see repeat customers, yeah.
Okay,
We do.
for the same problem.
Sure,
Okay,
especially when they're out of town.
all right. It's a sad situation, but it's reality. Thank you.
All right, I got Donna, Tom, Mike.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is that this would recapture revenue. And are these things that, I guess, would your staffing be adequate to expand to be able to do this?
Well, we'd probably have to expand the staff, probably. I'd say early on, probably not, because that's something that, depending upon how busy we were, we could assign a lieutenant to go out, and take some of the home visits.
So it would be something that you would see how much the demand there is that's actual for it.
Right, and
Before
then
you
work- and work
would need
into
to
that.
expand staffing. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Tom?
So to touch on the opiate or addiction problem, now you've been a member also with the task force here in town, and I know you attend the meetings, and we hope to in the future change those issues too, because they say it's systemic with the insurance policies, because most addicts don't have insurance, so they're getting thrown back out on the streets with no help whatsoever, only to OD again and again and again. And if even with alcoholics or any addiction, it doesn't go away the first time.
Right.
It's years and years. You fight these demons for your entire life. And I hope if in the near future that we do have a nice collaboration between you, the police, social services, where at least we locally can track some of these overdoses and expend our social services along with EMS and the police department to track them through their life and make sure that we keep an eye on them, know who they are, and help them anywhere we can with whatever free help we can get for them when they can't afford. So there's a whole another light coming in that, and I know you're right on the top of it, and I thank you for your work there with that task force, and keep it up. Appreciate it, all you do.
And thank you
You're on
very
the front
much.
lines, and you're the ones that are right there with the police officers, and now we have to take our social services along with them.
And they've been an excellent partner. And that's one of the components that I'll say is that probably since about 2011, we've had a very tight collaborative working relationship with social service that where we can make referrals when we see a need. Maybe someone's got a working stove, but there's no fresh food in the refrigerator, or they have no food or they've got food but no way to cook, or someone that's recently come home in a wheelchair but there's no wheelchair ramp. So social service has been terrific to partner with us. And the development of the little brochures, I believe you've all have seen.
Yes.
We have those in all the ambulances and the non-transport vehicles, and we gently give those to the families, when appropriate, and to see if that can be of service to them as well.
Yeah, and just to end that, and again, front lines, 15 deaths this year from heroin overdoses or opiate overdoses, 66,000 within the country last year. That's I said it before, it's a combined populations of Enfield, Summers, and East Windsor in 1 year. So yeah, it just gives a little bit of grasp of what you're going through on the front lines. And thank you for being there and saving the 20 Narcan saves that you've had too so far this year.
Thank you, Tom. Mike?
How you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Curious on the paramedic program. So, currently do you get reimbursed by the insurance companies if you take them to an urgent care?
No, and currently, but I say no, but I also say we're not allowed to take them there now, currently.
So right now, so that's what the state law allows you to do?
It will. The laws allowed the program to be developed, and this task force, this committee, is putting the foundation down that.
So then
we'll
so
describe
if the law goes through, would we negotiate directly with the insurance company? So for example, if you pick up someone and the patient wants to go, the urgent care in Enfield's in Cigna's network or United's network, you can take them there and then, but do we negotiate that schedule?
We have a bill that we send, and we
So
send the
so it's
bill.
not a schedule, it's a bill.
The only person that's on a schedule is Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
And that's because of time factor
Right.
with their guaranteed payment.
So when the bill goes, when the state law goes through, is that effective soon, or is that still being discussed down at the state?
It's still, okay, the legislation to allow it has passed.
Got it. Now
Now defining
Right.
what it is what's being worked on. And that would include the reimbursement piece.
And so then it wouldn't be a schedule, it'd just be whatever bill we would charge. Would we charge a universal bill, or is it?
The state currently sets the ambulance transport rates.
Right.
And it's not an itemized rate, it's basic emergency and advanced emergency, for lack of a better term, super advanced emergency.
Right.
And then they would probably plug in their mobile integrated healthcare and probably have a schedule of fees for what you provide.
So if you pick up a patient, the bill goes through, you have it, and the bill says you could take them to the urgent care in Enfield. However, the patient says, no, I want to go to St. Francis, for example, in Hartford. Now, has that been discussed through the bill? Does that become an out-of-network ambulance delivery? You know what I mean? Is there a penalty for not going to the urgent care when it's available?
You're ahead of where they are.
Okay. Because that'll be
And these are the questions that
That's the ultimate. If you're right, if no one wants to do it, the law's great. But if everyone wants to go to St. Francis or go to
Well-
Hartford Hospital, it doesn't save any. And then you guys are doing. Now the chart. Then unfortunately, then it becomes a cost as opposed to.
Well, if the patient says, you will take me to the emergency department at such
Right.
and such a hospital, if it's within our catchment area, we will, and they receive appropriate bill for that.
So right now it goes to the member, right? So do you bill the insurance or both? The insurance company and a member, or both?
We contracted out, Comstar's our billing agent. They bill the insurance directly.
Got it. Okay.
And then we'll follow up bill for copay,
Right.
if there is one.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Mike. Any other, Ed?
Yeah, thanks, Gary, again, for your presentation. I'm kind of aware because of the fire chief's liaison that go to those meetings, and you've been, for me, a wealth of information, and I want to thank you again for your presentation, because now everybody kind of knows the situation. And like Tom brought up, these people that we're doing Narcans with, and there's no there's no alternative. They're back out, and we've been discussing that for a while as what the problem is. And of course, they have to admit that they have a problem. But again, the insurance and who has it and who doesn't,
Right.
it's a big problem.
Right.
But thanks again.
You're welcome, my pleasure.
Thanks, Ed. Anyone else for Gary? And Gary, thanks for your presentation. Appreciate the many years of service. Our days go back to the late 1990s, before I think you even knew Enfield was on the map. But
I knew it was
we're
here.
glad we're here. You're with us. So
Well, it's been an honor to serve, and it's been tremendous to have you serve the community for all these years, and Bill, you too. And I always enjoy the curbstone consultations, rolling the windows down in the car. So, what do you think? All right, thank you all
thanks
very
a lot,
much.
Gary. All right, and our next special guest, I'd like to call up Tim Norris from the Enfield Beautification Committee. Tim's got a couple of his committee members as well. And your kids in tow, they get to sit in the front row.
We're out in the hall. That was the next step. Just give me a second.
Do we need to hook you up to
No, I was
PowerPoint?
I tried to print up a packet for you guys. But
Okay.
my printer was not online.
Yep.
I know some people have.
Yes, we have.
Yeah.
Very good.
So last year we started putting in benches over at Brainerd Park, first around the playground. Then we put in 2 sport benches this year, and another bench down at Powder Hollow because there was no seating for parents. I got Deborah Gaskell with me and Roberta Ladd. Unfortunately, Darren Catchall couldn't be here, but this past year, Clean Sweep, we went over 200 volunteers, almost 250. So I want to thank you guys, because Scott, I know I always write you about a dumpster.
Yeah.
For that and for the Scannick River cleanup. We provided, or helped Jack get flags and buntings for our parade route. So hopefully next year the stage will look a little nicer. We'll have a few more buntings on it. That's it. We wanted to take the chance to, update you guys on what we did this past year. We also have in an application for some artwork that we're going to try to do if Amtrak okays it on the bridge down by the Bigelow. But we're still waiting on that. And we wanted to thank the DPW publicly for doing such a nice job installing everything.
Awesome.
If I could just say something too.
Sure.
This is going on to my second year being part of the committee, and I can say that the committee members are full of ideas to try and help make the beautiful community we live in even more so. It's been especially rewarding for me to see young people getting involved and taking pride in the community, especially in regard to the clean sweep. Like Tim said, we had numerous volunteers, and I look forward to seeing that happen. And as an educator in the system, I look forward to helping to bridge those communications to get more young people involved. So it's been a pleasure to be on the committee, and thank you for your support.
And I would just like to say that compared to what we heard tonight, that it doesn't seem as, as important as some of the things that were talked about tonight. And on a scale of 1 to 10, it maybe isn't. But it addresses the aesthetics of Enfield. And I think that all of us can appreciate how very important that is for this little amount of money that is allocated to beautification. We not only fund our programs, we fund most of the plantings for the Enfield Garden Club. And I know that you know what an impact they make for very little money. I think that this is a program that should continue because it addresses the quality of life in Enfield aesthetically. And I really feel that it's beneficial to its citizens. And thank you for funding us.
Great. Thank you very much for the presentation. Questions, comments from the council? Donna?
I guess, were the benches made in conjunction with Snuntuck?
No, these ones weren't.
These ones weren't. Okay. And also I like
I would have liked to do that, but.
Yeah, because I've seen the trash and recycle
Yes,
receptacles. Those are very nice, and that was done in.
They were also in a transition over there, moving to the new building, so it would have been a lot to take on.
And I know, with bringing attention to the Scannick River and the work that Bill's done, Bob joined us, and we walked the full length of the Scannick River down to Stoker's Farm, and it was really a nice, clean walk. It was really a pleasure to get out and to really enjoy the Scannick River. And I think, We have to thank a lot of people here for their hard work. So, thank you.
Thank you, Donna. Bob?
First of all, I want to thank all three of you for heading up this committee. I put a lot of time and effort into it. I like the idea of you getting young people involved in this project, and for them to start taking pride in the community gives them a sense of being here and taking part and getting involved in civic activities. So, thank you, all three of you.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you, Bob.
Peter?
I was just curious, I know I was liaison to beautification many, many years ago. And at that time, they were responsible for all the adopt-a spots. Are you still taking care of those?
We are working on that. Jen Berry, I wanted to mention Jen Berry's not here. She's celebrating her anniversary, so she's on a little vacation. And Darren Ketchall's son is over at Enfield High playing soccer, so he couldn't be here. But I got to give him credit for the clean sweep, getting all the companies involved. And Stacy couldn't be here because of work. But Jen is currently trying to, and you got to understand too, we've gone through so many different town liaisons that we start to move in a direction and then we end up with new liaisons. And currently we have Daniel Edwards and Lois Anderson helping us, and they're absolutely amazing.
Yes, they are good.
But it kind of slows down the progress because we had gotten out letters to everybody who has adopt-a spots, and then if you notice this year, some of the adopt-a spots didn't look as nice as they had in years past. So we're trying to figure out who still wants to actually take care of them, and if not, we'll try to give those spots out to people that do.
It's a great program, and that, you know, people traveling through town, that's an image that sets
Yeah.
their thoughts about the community.
The signs look good. The Enfield Garden Club takes care of that. Jeannie Wyman comes to a lot of our meetings from there. The signs coming into town are great. I just, you know, if you drive around town, you can tell the people that are really, you know, stopping over like they're supposed to, based on their contracts with us. So.
And
Great,
Peter,
thank
we're
you.
trying to tweak and improve the program. That's
Yeah.
that's where we are right now. And Daniel has been a big help with that because, you know, he knows a lot about those things.
Great, thank you.
We're trying.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Then I just want to offer my thanks as well. You mentioned the Adopt-a-Spot program, and there's actually a local business. They haven't committed yet, but they contacted me saying, how do I get involved in that program? What does it involve? Let me think about it a little. So it's noticeable. And really all the work that you do across town is noticeable, and it is appreciated. Thanks for volunteering as well, putting in a lot of time and effort. And Roberta, it is important work
I think so too.
to make Enfield look a little better every day, day in and day out, and you guys deliver. So thanks a lot.
Thank
We
you very much.
appreciate
Thank
it. Really? No. All right. Next item on our agenda is public communications and petitions. If there's anyone in the audience wishing to address the council, Claire, you're first. Come on up. Ask that you please state your name and address for the record. Please keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes. I do have to time you. So if you hit the 4:30 mark, I will ask you politely to wrap up your comments. And we ask that you please refrain from the use of personalities. Claire, you're first. Welcome.
Thank you. It's been a long time since I've been here. Okay. Good evening. My name is Claire Neal, and I live on Kennedy Drive. I'm here to discuss the PAC for the referendum for the renovation of the JFK that will be on the November 7th ballot. I am the treasurer of the PAC, and Trish Neal Berry is the chairperson of the PAC. Basically, I just want to inform everyone how important it is that this referendum passes. For over a year, the pre-referendum committee met and discussed the possible future of JFK. During that time, the committee took information from many, including architects, environmental specialists, as well as administration and teachers at the school. It was determined that the best path forward for the school was to renovate as a new plan. Paperwork was filed with the state in time, and the reimbursement should be under last year's budget, not this year's. Utilizing the maximum square footage allowable based on the maximum students' expected enrollment, a plan was developed for a school that would cost $31.7 million to the residents. Please understand that the school is a $94.6 million school and that the state would reimburse 71% of, and therefore the town would be responsible for $31.7 million. We are hoping to bond for $35 million, which would allow room for a buffer, any changes in expected expenses, etc. There are no plans to exceed $31.7 million, and please remember that Enfield High project came in under budget. If for some reason the state changed its mind and decided to go back on the reimbursement, the project would not go forward, as the town is only bonding for the amount after the reimbursement. As such, the town is not responsible for the full $94 million. So basically, if this passes, the town will get a middle school to be proud of worth $94.6 million, and it will cost the town $31.7 million. The referendum committee also had a look at the cost of just fixing what was needed to be fixed at the school, and this includes updating the facility for ADA compliance and fixing what is broken, PCB abatement, fixing the pool area, demolishing the portable classrooms, and adding additional classrooms to replace the portables, and replacing all the seats in the auditorium. Fixing these things alone, which need to be done, would cost the town $28.4 million. Basically, for $3.3 million more, a total of $31.7 million, the town can have a brand-new school. This would include air conditioning, added space at the end of red, white, and blue wings for lab to include science lab, computer lab, and world language labs, a brand-new gym, a brand-new auditorium, a new music wing that includes a band room, orchestra room, and chorus room, a new wing for art and technical classes, PCB abatement, brand new fields, new tennis and outdoor basketball courts, additional parking, larger cafeteria. Every classroom will be updated to have technology. All lighting, windows, and doors will be energy efficient. So please vote yes on the referendum when you vote in November. If you have any questions, you can contact the PAC at our Facebook page, JFK for Tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
I have some pamphlets, one for each of you. I want to know, can I leave some pamphlets here, or is that a faux pas?
You can leave them with the town clerk.
Okay.
Thank you, Claire.
Yep.
Public communications? Yes, come on up. Charlotte in a First Readers t-shirt.
Good evening. I'm Charlotte Riley, Vice President of First Readers Association of Enfield, and this is Caitlin Dunn. She's School Liaison for First Readers Association of Enfield. Let me tell you a bit about our program first. First Readers is a private, nonprofit, town-wide program that recognizes and celebrates a key milestone in learning, becoming a reader. We acknowledge each child's huge accomplishment by celebrating with the Enfield community. Children receive a First Reader certificate and a medal, and recognition at a special town ceremony where they receive a bright orange First Readers t-shirt. This is our 7th school year, and we will be approaching 3,000 First Readers that have been recognized. First Readers, in collaboration with Enfield Public Schools and parochial schools, has selected developmentally appropriate books for children to read when their teachers feel they are just making the transition to becoming fluent readers. Any child in grades K through 8 that attends school in Enfield or resides in Enfield is eligible to participate. When the child reads one of the designated books, he or she is named a First Reader. Parents get notice of this achievement and await an invitation to the recognition ceremony. For children who do not attend one of our participating schools, certification can take place at the Enfield Central Library. So now that you know a little bit about us, it's time to tell you why we came tonight. First, we want to thank the Town Council for all their support. As this term comes to an end for our elected officials, we wanted to thank someone special who is stepping down from the political spotlight. To our Mayor, Scott Copen, We'd like to thank you for your support and participating in our events. You have helped to promote First Readers and given us wonderful exposure in the community. Thank you for all you have done to continue to support and celebrate early literacy. On behalf of First Readers and the children of the community, we want to present to you a token of our gratitude and appreciation for all you have done for our program. May your retirement from the council be filled with health, happiness, and very frequent trips to pick up more books to read.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Why not even get a medal? Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Oh, that's cool.
And feel free to wear the orange shirt, just when you go grocery shopping.
I have the orange shirt, and it's a great program. To watch the excitement on the kids' faces when they come across the stage. They have their orange T-shirts on. They're getting, they have their medals on, I believe.
Yeah.
And they get a high five and a bookmark, and then at the very end they get to yell, "I can read," and that's really cool. Thank you. Thanks for that great work that you do in our community. Public Communications, Mr. Ballard.
William Ballard, 321 Abbey Road, a 50-year resident of that abode. I've come here this evening to look at Scott in the eye and say, thank you, Scott, for your dedication, for your consciousness, your conscientious work here in town. Your efforts for everybody has been wonderful. Maybe I've had some issues with the town, but everybody has issues. But you just know how to handle them. You're very polite. You're dedicated. And I was sitting in my seat back here, and I was just wondering. I remember when I was first on the town council, they said, "Oh, it's only 2 meetings a week, a month, two meetings a month." Well, if you compute the meetings, 2 meetings a month, that's a lot of meetings. But triple that, quadruple that, quintuple that. The problems you have solved in the past 10 years as a terrific leader have been wonderful. I sit at home now, and I watch the council meetings, and I speak out of turn because, I can. And
no one times you.
And anyway, there's a million things I'd like to say to you, and to Bill, and for your leadership and your conscientious work for the town. I was looking through some retirement home brochures, and I said, gee, maybe Scott would like to go here, or go here. But anyway, I hope you enjoy your personal time that you have ahead of you, you and your family and your friends, and God bless you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you. Public Communications. Yes, ma'am. Come on up. It's Teresa, right?
Yes. How's the clam bake?
Oh, Oyster Fest was wonderful.
Okay. My name is Teresa Beebe. I live on St. James Ave in Enfield, Connecticut. We came back here tonight to update the council on what's been happening at Blair Manor. We did have, and thank you for letting us come back. I'm sorry to say that despite the posting in our building, posted by the receiver, Phyllis Bimonte, she actually had posted something in our building on October 2nd, stating that this was a public hearing. Judge Epstein welcomes participation from all members of the Blair Manor community. If you would like to participate but cannot attend the hearing, please write Judge Epstein care of the Hartford Superior Court. But we got many family members, many staff members, community members, all came to court to talk. Many people in our community wrote letters, and none of them were heard. Our voices were not heard, not yours, not ours, not our communities, not our residents, nor their families. The judge was not able to read our letters or accept our petition, which has greater than 1,600 signatures. I'd actually like to Stop and Shop in Enfield was wonderful and let us, some of our staff, some of our family members, got a lot of petition signatures there. We also had a couple of restaurants in town that had our petitions out, and EJ's Cleaners. But anyway, back to my script. Sorry, the families. Okay, the judge was not able to read our letters or yours, recommendations from the council to do what they can to stop the proceedings to close Blair Manor. We're at odds. We don't understand what we can do next to protect our residents from what is happening. I mean, we look at the information that we've collected compared to the receiver's information. I mean, I'm just trying to flip through one of my letters. Can the cameras can't see this table to see people's names on here, can it?
No.
Okay.
Too far away.
Okay. One of the letters to the judge was saying, I'm in writing in regards to the proposed closure of Blair Manor. I would like to voice some serious concerns in regard to this matter. First, concerning the viability report. The average daily census at Blair Manor has been 86% since 2013. Following the receivership, census plummeted to a daily average of 68%. Referrals have been denied. Families were led to believe that the facility was closing, causing a panic and transferring residents prematurely. Word of this spread through the community, which has been detrimental to our facility. You knew that we had a problem that we had found out they weren't billing private pay patients, but I do understand that may be happening now. An audit of the report has been, the receiver's report has been requested and denied. Our question is why? With so much at stake, it seems like a reasonable request. We're a very good facility. We have had very good ratings, and we're in a very family atmosphere. We just don't know what our next move can be. We're hearing about, all right. Okay, if I were hearing about this and not experiencing this directly, I would suggest the Department of Social Services would help. But they also refused our petitions. They at the hearing, we tried to hand them over to the Department of Social Services, the Bunds person, and was told they weren't going to take them. There's a letter from one of our family members who had emailed the Department of Social Services, Nancy Schaefer, and that says, your message was passed along to me, yes. If you would like to provide correspondence to the judge directly at an upcoming hearing, you will have the opportunity to speak as well as offer written documents. The hearing is October 12th at 2 p.m. If you are not able to attend the hearing, I would provide to you, the judge, I can do this as I plan on attending the hearing. So our residents, their families were all given the impression they had a chance to be heard. And I'd like to thank you to the opportunity to allow us to be heard, because we really just don't know what we can do from here to help our residents. The Department of Social Services doesn't seem to be helping them. The receiver certainly isn't. And I really feel like somebody out there can help us. I don't know if somebody that's watching right now can make a suggestion to us to help our residents and their families, if there's someone that can direct us. But that's kind of where we're at this point. I wish I had better news, and I'm really hoping that the town council has some suggestions, or the town's attorney could help us do something to help these people not be taken from their homes. I go to work every day, and I have residents that say things like last night, actually the night before last, a resident had said, "I feel so helpless." You know, I'm reading about this, and her daughter and her email each other, and she's felt so helpless. So I told her that she could send a thing to the ombudsperson as well. But in the back of my mind, I was thinking about what happened to this other family member who did contact the ombudsperson and really didn't get much satisfaction.
All right, thanks. Teresa, thanks for the update.
Okay.
And
There are some, would you, if you would indulge us, some of our families felt as though their words were not heard, their voices weren't able to be made to be heard, and they feel as though there's nobody protecting or helping them. Some of the families are out of town or away on business, or couldn't be here for one reason or another, but there's someone else that they did ask if someone could read their letter so that their voice could be heard, if that's okay.
Sure, that's okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll have that person come right up.
Hi.
Hello.
My name is Kathy Ronzanelli, and I am speaking on behalf of Carol Conlon, who is the POA of her mother, who resides at 612 Hazard Avenue. Firstly, let me thank you for allowing us to speak, as Carol and many other families feel their voices have been silenced. Carol received written documentation from Nancy Schaefer, the state ombudsman, stating she would be allowed communication on behalf of her mother. I do have a copy of the letter from the ombudsman. Oddly, some of Blair Manor residents were deprived of even the right to speak to Nancy Schaefer when they called her with their concerns. This is the mountain that all of those concerned are facing. How is it possible to have the voices of Blair Manor be heard? I was going to read you the letter from Ms. Schaefer to Carol, but Terry did touch on that. We are asking for any type of assistance, please, that can help justice to be obtained. Carol Conlon's concerns are real. Her mother is real. Her mother will turn 101 years old October 30th, and she is trying to advocate for her mother. I have a copy of her letter that she submitted to the judge, that she submitted, that was returned unread. If you would all like a copy, I can give you a copy, or I can read it for you if you would like. The council heard from her cousin David DeShaka concerning their many relatives that resided at Blair Manor. All the concerns previously heard remain, along with the breaking down the roadblock of injustice. The reasons stated by Ms. Belmonte continue to be left unexplained, such as the census, money owed, overall ratings, which Blair Manor consistently held the highest average over the 3 affinity homes per the viability reports in Connecticut Census Data Bank. Referrals and admissions were being denied since the state receivership. After the viability report was submitted to the court, we have admitted 5 patients in the last week. I can go on and on with the unfair treatment of Blair Manor. Again, thank you for hearing Carol Conlon's plea, along with others from Blair, to help find justice. That's it.
Thank you. Public communications. Mr. Sheridan.
Jack Sheridan, 7 Buchanan Road. I'm here to speak against the JFK expenditure. We originally had an expenditure estimate of between $12 and $17 million, and that would include electrical, boilers, HVAC, windows, and so forth, not just paint and Band-Aids as was previously stated. The debt service costs are killing the state and the city of Hartford. the money is not for nothing. You just don't add debt. The state can't afford to pay the town its distribution now. I read in the paper that Assured Guarantee Company that insures the bonds in Hartford to their annual debt service will top $60 million just in Hartford alone. And they said that they're going to have to file, they're going to force them into filing bankruptcy because, and the only way out, according to them, is to pay $40 million for the next 15 years to buy their way out of the debt. So the cash isn't there, the debt is there. They've assigned more debt. And just as an add to that, in the same newspaper, it said that 53,000 residents in Connecticut have moved out between 2010 and 2014, and 32,000 moved to Connecticut. So we lost, about 20,000 residents. And also it showed that the sales of homes in Enfield have gone down by about 22%. So nothing looks really comfortable to me to be able, I mean, it's nice. I saw the renderings of the school and everything. It's nice that, pie in the sky, but I don't think right now, I've been a resident here for 57 years. I really don't like this town. How can I say that? I've been here for 57 years. I love the town. And by the way, I want to add my congratulations. I've had my outs with you and various people up there over the years, but I've always said that I appreciate the time and effort that you give. And Scott, it's amazing. You can't count the time that you put in. Just forget the meetings here that we all see, but all the stuff that goes on, meetings behind the scene. And when we were talking years ago, I don't even remember how many years ago, 20 years ago probably, and I was asking that, why don't you have a communications thing with the people who want to be involved to that extent? And you stepped up and did it, and you're still doing it today. So the Mayor's Advisory Committee, which you started, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate what you do. I appreciate what all of you do, because I know how much time you're giving up from your own lives and your families. So thank you very much, and good luck in the future, whatever your plans. You too, Bill. I appreciate you too, believe it or not. And last meeting I was watching on TV, and you were talking about the skate park and the liabilities involved. And I remembered back to the skate park in Thompsonville and the fact that we had at one time a fence around it. We had gates, signs, and all kinds of things, and kids broke the gates down to get in and use the thing. And we consulted with lawyers at the time, town attorneys, and said that the best way to handle that is put up a at your own risk deal, and don't have a gate, because we can't afford a lifeguard for 2 or 3 shifts a day like we would at a swimming pool. So I remembered all of that, and I know some people were talking something about it, but I remembered it like it was yesterday, because I didn't like the idea that we're putting up another park to expose ourselves to that liability. Again, I don't always have to agree with you all, but I appreciate, I know that, there's some kind of justification for what we try to do. Even the beautification committee, they're absolutely right what they do to try and improve the appearance of our town and the work that they do. So I hope I used up all my 5 minutes, and especially the part where I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. Public communications, Mr. Peabody? Oh, you know what, Ray, hold on a second. The gentleman right there. No, come on up, sir. Ray, you're after this gentleman.
Sorry about that. I thought you was going to say I'm after the meeting.
We'll revisit Blair again just for a few seconds, all right? Thank you very much for allowing us to be here. I think you're very kind. I also extend to all of you a visit anytime. Come and see Blair yourself firsthand. Not to stay there, of course, unless you want to. I did bring a brochure for
Sir, if you
one
could
reason.
just start off with your name and address, please.
Is that all right? Am I on? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Yes, my name is George Stevens. I'm representing my wife, Janice Stevens. She's 82. Saw her this morning. She's fine. I said, I'm going to be working with you people again tonight. She gave me a nod that was all right. I want to leave this brochure with you and visit some sections that the girls did not cover. This is a brochure of the facility. It shows our courtyard, the front. I'm going to leave it with your clerk. And then it shows 4 other facilities they're talking about. You know, a picture's worth 1,000 words. This is Alexandria that was closed in the bankruptcy in 2005, I believe. Blair is a second photo, and the third photo is Douglas, and the last one is Ellis. These are the names that you've been hearing. These are pictures of them. I'll leave that. In addition to that, it also shows, and it brings me to what I want to talk about first, which is the fact that we have a building that is built in 1966 was the date. And they say it's an old building that requires a lot of maintenance and a lot of work. But I would like to add to you that, refer to you to the fact that in 1966 we had a major expansion of the facilities by, I believe the name of the builder was Palazzo Builders, and we made a major addition to the facility, the rehab facility, recreation room, all wings totally renovated, a dining room addition. In addition to that, we took care of the exterior and the front entrance. The Thayer wing was closed I believe it was in they had about 50 or 60 beds, but it was closed, and they ended up sending the beds and so forth to the other 2 facilities, Ellis and Douglas. These are the other 2 nursing homes. And this kind of lightened our load and the number of people we could serve. Now, they did that for a reason. I don't know what the reasons were. I'm not privy to that. But the important thing to note is that it is an old building. It's a well-maintained building. It's as this building is right here. And we shouldn't be knocking it. The addition was a very good one. And actually, the court that we were in had a ceiling which 40 feet high. It had white plaster scalloping around the edge. You don't see that anymore. Unfortunately, the acoustics were terrible. Microphones were not turned on. We're not aware of what all of the 4 attorneys were saying. There were 3, one representing Pacifica, one representing the nursing home, and of course, one for the receiver. And then the assistant state district attorney was there also. I will say that the first row, and probably those inside, including the press, would have heard you as I sit with you right now. They would have heard you well. Anyone else, and they were very sad. I have a picture to show you. We're not allowed to speak, as mentioned previously. I won't touch that at all. But the important thing is, they did not get all of it. They came in really to be heard, and it was not done. So let's leave that, because I think Terry covered that very, very well. But there are many skilled people, management people, also beside the union, that have been hurt by this transaction. Some of them, for example, lost their health insurance coverage. And when that happened, they immediately either found jobs or left the company. Very good, skilled people there for a number of years. They had a plan with the Signet PPO plan, which they paid into, and also the management was supposed to match and also pay into. I don't have the details on it. I do have a copy of one of the cards of one of the persons involved. It's a Signet PPO plan, and you present that when you go to your doctors and so forth, expect to be taken care of as it being a responsible plan. It turns out that the person left because the card was no good. she just had to have coverage. She was afraid and had fear of being without it for her family. A lot of people had other members of the family that had coverage that could help them. But they took the hit on it, and I have to say that the card was a phony card. So I don't know where their payments that they paid into the medical plan went to, or what pocket, or wow. It's an unanswered question. I can't answer it. But I do feel that they got hurt, and another person also got hurt. I saw her only a week ago. She had visited the facility, kind of misses it. I said, how are you doing? Everything is fine? She says, no. As a matter of fact, she says, I have to pay about $8,000 out of pocket because I don't expect the receiver or the court to reimburse her in any way. They've asked for a list of what expenses are outstanding, but she's not hopeful of recovery. I mention this because everybody's involved in this thing together. And I want to thank each and every one of you in this council for allowing us to have somewhat of a forum, because a lot of things are discussed but not discussed, and we don't get answers to questions, which I think the people are entitled to have. Now, what I do want to say is, and I think this is the most important part of the issue, the statute says, and it's clear, you must advertise a facility for sale before it enters into a bankruptcy. And this was not done. I think she made an arbitrary decision, figuring I know what we've got here for these figures, and we're going to close this one and go. And certainly what Terry read to you and the others, where they cut us off very short, shows you how a drop in the admissions that we had in this place. We had a running business, and a good one, and we're doing very well. You know, the figures lie, the figures, you know how it works. The other thing I want to compliment, say why you need us as a new business, because you have new businesses also that you're courting, a very big one, a wonderful one. And we pray and hope that Amazon will decide and come to Enfield, because it's the right place for their second headquarters. It has the people here, the space, we can satisfy the requirements, the labor base is phenomenal. The North Central region is really great. The nursing and health is also very substantial, and we have a very excellent business environment, and we strategically are placed but these people also will have the same problems with medical. One or two of them, somewhere down the line, will end up in a nursing home. Anybody over 50 is on his way. And the same is true with any of the new people coming along, youngsters. Now, we know this. I'm lucky. My wife's 82, and she gave me a nod. I said I was coming here tonight. It was approval. She couldn't answer me. But I'm 87. I'm still moving, so I'm very grateful. But this is happening more and more for everybody. It's a big business. Now, I think what happened, something very unusual happened in the courtroom. The attorney for Pacifica, who has the mortgages and so forth involved, changed their position on, decided that they may have cut a side deal that they would close Blair and keep the other facility open. Now, I don't know why that's being done. I don't know what's being withheld from us. I don't even know why the assistant state district attorney was there. But in any event, we've got questions. I think you're all aware of it, and I think you would have too if you sat where I sit right now. A lot of the other last thing that came up, and this hits all of us. If you're in the private section, you've got a 401k. If you're in very few, maybe the state, of course, has a defined pension plan. We don't have. But people want to roll over that have left their 401ks to the new facility that they're at. And I don't know if I got the name right, Sam Grosser or somebody else, an owner. His name is still on the document to do this, and he has to sign off. And they're wondering, is there a problem? Are they protected? And I think there's got to be some federal aspect to that. I hope that you can somehow pass this on and share I know you share the concerns that we have. And I don't think I can tell you anything else that would be helpful, except my thanks to you, and certainly to the JI. You gave us these are the people you saw. I think you all saw the JI with these people sitting in the chair. Suzanne, the receiver, the judge, and I think the judge will be very fair. But and I hope that she goes by the statute. But sometimes you can make a statute change and bend it a little bit. And in this case, I don't want to see that happen. We need Blair Manor in Enfield. belongs here. It's been here 60 years. It's not too old, the facility. As a matter of fact, I had one man who was on a builder, and he said to me very frankly, if I had the money, George, I'd buy this. I think 20 years, 1960, let's see, 1999. I think it just needs a roof right now, and we'd be in business. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Peabody. Yeah.
Good evening, Raymond Peabody, 370 Washington Road, our Fairtown. Kind of weird being on this side, by the way. I've got 3 years of getting used to being on that side. But anyway, I got a couple points I want to make. I'll be brief. It is on the JFK referendum. We're not referending 95, 97, or $94 million. That's gone out there all weekend on our wonderful social media outlet. We're recommending 35 million, correct, Scott? Oh, not allowed to, sorry, forgot. Forgive me, please. All right, we're around $35 million to referendum. That's $31.7 million plus a contingency. That's just smart financial workings. So that's out of the way. The other thing I'd like to mention is that the state money that we've been approved for, the 70%. I pay taxes, you pay taxes, other towns pay taxes. To answer the question, it's free money. It's not free money, number one. Number two, I wouldn't mind getting a little bit of that state money that we pay in taxes back in my town, especially if it helps our kids, our students, and our families as a whole. The next point I want to make is the JFK building. Refurbishing the JFK building will give our teachers, who do a great job, as you know, Councilman Crisati, of providing education for our kids, working on a curriculum that helps our kids do well in this century, not the last century, this century. So giving them a platform, a new platform with new technology advantages, getting all the infrastructure right, only makes sense to me because the current building just doesn't do it. Now, going through that particular building, I saw where the deficiencies are, and to address the question of how did it go from a $15 million repair event up to where it's going is very simple. There's other things that have been added since we got the Facilities Control Assessment Report in 2015. We've added a number of things such as hazardous materials remediation, such as other things that were not in the FCA report, new fields, and a different cost structure for getting rid of those portables, which I happen to call appendages. So those are the things I wanted to mention about the referendum. And if the referendum fails, what happens? Well, we still have a whole bunch of repairs to do to the facility, including the $15 million that was projected, but now going up to $28 million, and that'll be separate with no reimbursement, none whatsoever. So it makes sense to me as someone who looks, I don't spend a dime on my personal life or my corporate life or when I was on the board unless I saw value for that expenditure. And you can ask people on the board. I would complain bitterly if it doesn't bring value, you don't need it, period. So I see the value. I see it preserving what we have left of our grand list. There are people who are moving out, but there are people who want to move into town. Our housing's at a good price point. I think our new people coming in would appreciate a good middle school, as our elementary schools are doing well. And in that vein, our school system is on the rise. And while it's not great yet, it will be there soon. So I think our schools, our town, our kids, our teachers deserve a good middle school, a good platform to deliver the curriculum for 2017, 2019, out into the future. Last thing I'd like to make is a comment in support of Blair Manor. I've had friends that go to rehab there, that went to rehab for injuries and accidents and strokes and heart attacks. I've had a relative be treated there. They do a good job. I don't know what you guys can do, because it's out of our preview, or your preview, but whatever support can be given, I think would be duly appreciated and duly deserved. Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
You're right. Public communications? Anyone else? Then thank you very much, and we will move to Counselor Communications. Counselor Communications, Counselor Falk.
On this past Saturday, myself and Donna had the opportunity to go to a Boy Scout Court of Honor, an Eagle Scout Court of Honor for a Robert Stratton, known as Robbie. And this kid was amazing. I think in order to get an Eagle Scout, you need to have like 24 merit badges, 22. This guy had like 46. He was one heck of a scout. He's done everything under the sun, and he's still going. So, anyway, it was great to see the youth and the enthusiasm. And his Eagle Scout project was over at the Little Sisters of the Poor. Apparently, they have a garden and a park out behind the building with a bunch of benches, like park benches, and they were in very poor condition. They hadn't been upgraded in 20 or 30 years. And he took it on himself and raised money and upgraded all those benches to like new condition. So it was a great project. The Little Sisters really appreciated it, and it was a great ceremony. A lot of people there to support and support him on his achievements, and it was nicely done. Next, I know at the last meeting, I had mentioned the high school directional sign, GPS sending people up Riverview. I didn't, under your report, maybe you can respond to it. Any advancement or anything happen with that? Second one is the gate at the high school at the end of Riverview. It was a nice black gate in great condition, but you couldn't see it in the dark. And they put on reflective tape. And now if you come down that street, it's going to jump out at you, kind of like the one on Holy Family off of Post Office Road, I think it is. Great job, thank you. The island on Mullen Road, we talked about that and how it impacted the fire department. The fire department actually took their vehicle out there and tested it around the bend. And the truck could make it, but just barely. So I guess the town has agreed not to put curbing in and to leave the pavement the way it is, but I don't know if there's some special type of grass they're going to plant so that when the wheels come around, they will be on the dirt, should they come in that way. I know that the chief mentioned to you the fact that the big truck probably wouldn't come down that street anyway, but just in case it had to. So your efforts there were great. Thank you very much. I think that's about it. I had one more that it'll come up under the later, but that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Counselor Communications, Donna?
Actually, if I might piggyback on, what Peter's talking about with the GPSs, I mean, we do have a significant problem in the town with the GPS and how it does direct truck traffic. I mean, we have other roads like Summers, North, School Street, where at any moment you have this gigantic tractor-trailer truck coming down those roads. I happen to be on School Street, and there was one, and I'm thinking, what's a tractor-trailer truck this size on School Street? And I watched them. I got cut off on one coming out of North, and it's like they could so easily stay on Moody and go down, get on Elm, and they're on the highway. And instead, they're going all around Enfield. So I'd like to piggyback on Peter's, and maybe we can see something about how do we get, intelligent GPS directions for, large trucks in Enfield.
Thank you, Donna. Joey?
First, I want to say, Jack, I believe you're right. I agree with you. On the skate park, I think until we get some signage up, or at least let the grass grow, we should hold it off for a little bit. I mean, there's a lot of people using it, and I'm really appreciative they're using it, but we need to protect ourselves first. And we need that signage, and it may even be, once things are going, have the police stop by, because I seen probably 10 kids on there with no helmets doing various amount of acrobats. So, I mean, we have to police this, and not only for the point that we don't want a lawsuit, but I would feel awful terrible if some kid is handicapped because he bounced his head off without a helmet, and they're it's going to screw his life up for good. So I think either we need to start the police going there or cordon it off till we can figure out what we need to do so these kids are on there with helmets and safety equipment. And if it means when the police are driving by and they see them on there, they need to go in there to warn them, because it's going to be awful terrible if one of them kids get hurt. Donna, the problem is if someone does not buy a GPS for trucks, the automatic GPSs send you the easiest way. I can't tell you how many I got under bridges in other towns because they don't know where they're going because they're just following the GPS, and the GPS is going to send you the quickest, easiest route. But a lot of the truckers are not using a trucker's GPS. And when that happens, it will send you underneath that low bridge on 75 or whatever. So that's where the problem is. It's because they don't have the proper GPSs.
You know what? I appreciate learning that because now we can maybe make a little advancement, but poor Peter, he's still stuck with Riverview.
All set, Joey? Tom?
Scott, Bill, thank you for your service. I know when I first started, Scott, we had probably my second meeting. I think we had a huge argument up here. I remember driving home that night saying to myself, why on earth does anyone do this? Right? Because we're volunteers. There's not a dime in this for us other than time and effort. Over the years, we have definitely smoothed out our rough edges, and I appreciate it. You're at everything representing this council. I can safely say that you'll be there representing them when I can't. When I have my duties to do, and you'll always be there, and you'll always acknowledge us during any of the events that you're at, and I appreciate that, and I thank you, and I hope I've learned some things from you over the years after your over 20 years at this. And Bill, we've served on several committees together and talked extensively about Enfield, Thompsonville, the train station. And I hope to keep those, if I'm reelected, those moving forward, your thoughts, because you've always been on them. You know what Enfield needs, and I appreciate all that conversation over the years. Going to miss it for the both of us. So, Scott, at least we get to serve on one other committee after this, so it won't be goodbye, but hope we see you around, Bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Mike?
Through the mayor to the town attorney. So curious. The gentleman mentioned so I know there's two things with Blair Mary. I don't know if it's you're the right person to ask, or if we can maybe recommend them to go to someone. If they're getting contributions for the employees taken out for their health care, or excuse me, the patients are, and they're paying their copays, and a claim isn't being paid, that's on the insurance company should be notified for that patient based on, correct? So meaning that's a private matter that they should actually call the insurance company and let them know, oh, by the way, I have a $20,000 bill or whatever it may be. I'm paying my contributions, getting taken out of my, whatever it may be. Correct? I mean, that's something that the whether it be the employee or the person there.
Councilman, I don't know enough about the particulars of the circumstance, and it's the worst legal advice you can give is advice given that's not based on all of the facts or your knowledge of the law. So I would just have to recommend that they would have to consult with either their own attorney or their own insurance company if they think something is awry. But I wouldn't hasten. I'm not familiar. And what seems to be the common sense answer may not be the legal answer, and I wouldn't want to compound their troubles and their worries by giving advice that wasn't accurate.
Because I know if that's happening, you should contact your insurance company, because that falls under almost a fraud category. So, I'd recommend you contacting your insurance company if that's happening. And then the other thing, the receiver, this is a state receiver, not a private, so this isn't a private bankruptcy proceeding, correct?
We've not been involved. I only know what I've heard
Right.
from these folks here and what I've read in Mr. Healy's article. I know they're in state court, and there is a receiver, but beyond that, again, we wouldn't be able to obtain any more information than any other citizen because we're not involved in it. When the state gives towns intervener status or we have standing to intervene, then you have legal status to be made aware of all the proceedings. You can file motions, you can file interrogatories. We don't have that standing. We have not been involved. So as to what status or what they've been denied, we don't have any idea. The town has not been involved in this. And as unfortunate as it is, the only way, is for them to, get that advice. An ombudsman is supposed to do that for them.
Right.
But it sounds as though they have been frustrated with the amount of information that they have really not received through the state agencies, and that's a real disappointment. Clearly, going to court, you would hope, like here, you're able to ear your concerns and get some questions answered, and it seems that they were led astray, that they were precluded from speaking, and that's unfortunate. But in regard to what statuses or what the proceedings are, I don't know. We have not been involved, and we don't have legal standing to find out.
And I know it's not a back and forth, but I'd be curious if the union lawyers have gotten involved in what their stance are to protect the nurses. They must have some standing in this. So I'd be curious to what that would be. I'm not through you, just curious to the folks who are there, because someone's got to be represented by somebody. In this, if the
insurance part of it has actually more for the management part.
All right.
Yeah, so I know, and sorry, one last thing. Again, I just want to be clear. I wasn't going to comment on this, but I'm going to. On the JFK referendum, I want to be clear on folks. The town, even at $30 million, the town is incurring debt. So again, you can argue what your appetite for debt would be, and that's certainly like beauty, it's in the eye of the beholder. But in this beholder, the amount of debt we already have with the roads, the amount of debt we have with the high school, and the amount of debt that we have with the water pollution plant, adding more debt at $30 million to me is unaffordable. So I understand folks are focused on what the state is paying and a reimbursement from the state, but the town is incurring debt. And if folks paid attention to the last two budget cycles, the largest or one of the largest line items that is increasing is debt service. That's a fact. It's in the budget. So again, folks need to be informed when they go in. You can vote the way you passionately feel, but you need to be informed. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Counselor Communications, Counselor Crissati.
There's a couple things I want to mention. First of all, Enfield High's homecoming. They had a series of activities a couple of weekends ago. It was well attended. I happened to be invited to march in the parade, which included, all the class floats, the school band. It was an excellent event, well attended. I just wanted to mention that was a good community event. They started at the town hall right here. Everybody gathered here. They marched down Pearl Street and right up to the school. It was a great event, and I think it's just something that should be mentioned here. Second of all, I'd like to thank you and Bill for welcoming me on to the council here, and you've made me feel very, very comfortable these last couple of months. And I want to thank you and Bill, being a former student of mine. Very proud of you of what you accomplished here. I won't ask you to factor a polynomial, but thank you, for that. And so, thank you. I just wanted to mention that. Yeah.
Thank you. Gina?
I will try to be very brief because I think you'll probably get, 8 or 9 other people talking and saying the same thing. But first, Claire from the JFK PAC, thank you for your presentation. I encourage everybody to get out and vote and support this referendum. Please vote yes. That being said, thank you to Scott and Bill for your years of service. Who knows who's going to be up here in a couple of weeks, but I know that the two of you guys are going on to bigger and better things, or just less things, maybe. But with the time that we have been on the council together, there has been, spars, differing of opinions, and lively debate, but also respect. And above all, your opinions and your positions were always backed by fact, and that is huge to me, and I appreciate that. So, but in the end, good luck, and it's been fun.
Thank you. And council on.
Council on.
Councilor Davis.
Through the mayor to the town manager. We could get an update or a report in the North Central District Health Department on what they do and what they have done since they came up 2 weeks ago when Donna Suzak said they needed construction on their committee, which brought me to research a little, and on the 10 essential health services, and everything they offer doesn't have anything to do with construction. So I'm just wondering what they do, and if we can get an update like on child obesity, asthma in a young age of kids. I know they just got a grant for Opian, so I found that on the website. So, and I realized construction they're looking at doing an HVAC system at the North Central. So if we could just get somewhat of an update what they're doing for health-wise throughout the town. Thank you. And Bill and Scott, thank you for the fun time, even prior to this. And thanks for all that you do, and best of luck. I'm sure we'll see you throughout the town. And Scott, I don't know if I should thank you or not. The whole reason I'm involved is because of you. But I do seriously want to say thank you, and you've been a great mentor to me through the years. So best of luck to both you, and we'll see you soon. I'm sure we'll be texting, or I'll see you at the Cape.
Sounds good.
So thanks, Bill and Scott.
Thank you. Councilor Bosco, then Ed.
Yeah, just for a little update on the health department, there's actually quite a bit about building. Every house, every business, everything that is tied into where there's either not city water or city sewer, all has to go through the health department. So like I built the barn on my property, I have septic. Before I could build the barn and the town of Enfield would give me a building permit, I had to go to the health department to make sure that the building was not gonna encroach into the area of the septic. Or they got to make sure that the septic, if you want to put an addition on your house, that you're not overburdening the septic system. So you can only have so many bathrooms on it. Build a house without city water, they got to see the well tests and all that. So there's a lot of stuff that they do with construction other than making sure people get their flu shot and stuff like that. And even when you're building a new building, if it's going to have anything where there's a commercial kitchen or anything like that, they got to make sure that all that is up to snuff too. So there is quite a bit of stuff that has to do with building.
Thank you, Joey. Ed?
Yeah, congratulations on your retirement. Is that what it is? And Bill, it's been a pleasure working with you. 24 years, and I'm not sure if I have that many years left in me, but you do. But I don't know how you do 24 years with everything you do. But thank you for your time and your great efforts, both of you representing the town. And you know, we've had our differences, of course, but that's what we're all about. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. Deputy Mayor Lee.
Thank you. Thank you to for the well wishes from everyone up here and the public tonight. I mentioned it earlier. You know, no one up here has the ability to sit in this seat without a tremendous support system and people who are willing to let us sit up here. And certainly, our families, you know, our priority one. I want to just thank my wife, Katie, and my 3 kids for giving me, you know, the blessing to do this 6 terms ago. It's funny how, you know, just maybe 3 terms, 4, you know, 5, well, shoot, we can't leave now, you know, but you know, for me, I have some things that need to be taken care of, and you know, some of you know what those are, but it's not that I feel like the job is done up here, or that there wouldn't be you know, some great adventure in the next few years in what Enfield is kind of getting prepared to do, and I'm thankful to have maybe gotten us one step closer to where the town is prepared to do some of the great things that we've talked a whole lot about over the last 2 decades. So I can't wait to open this. I'm hoping there's a pension in there. They said it's teachers upon retirement, so I'm kind of excited. Be that as it may. I want to make a motion, some housekeeping here, motion to suspend the rules and move the following few items to miscellaneous and potentially proceed to a vote tonight. The items are A1 and A2, which are on the consent agenda, E, F, G, H, I, J, and M.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Lee, seconded by Councilor Falk to move those items. So it's a strike off of what was in front of you of a K&L. Discussion? Sensing none, show of hands. All those in favor? Those opposed? Those items have been moved to miscellaneous.
Secondly, through the chair to the town manager and the body at large, I think Councilman Davis and Councilman Bosco had an interesting observation. We don't actually hear from our health district representatives on any type of regular basis, and we have 5 members of that body, which I believe is 8 towns. So we are the largest. We have the largest population. We have the most institutions. We have the most restaurants, and certainly a heavy number of septic and well users. So I know the district met just last week, and if I could leave a simple suggestion, perhaps reaching out to them and having them appear on a quarterly basis going forward probably isn't a bad idea. I know the impact of the health district on Enfield is pretty significant, both from an annual cost basis, but particularly now since the state's trying to merge districts and really kind of change the face of the way that those services are delivered. I think we've been very lucky that we hold the most seats on the North Central district, but we need to be very aware of how the state might be trying to regionalize that further and make sure that it's in Enfield's best interest and how they develop. So we'll leave that there. To the committees that I'm on currently, I know Development Services is hoping to maybe chat one more time before, Peter and, is it you? Yeah, it's you. We've got a couple more weeks in the term. I know I'd like to just wrap up some loose ends, and Economic Development Commission as well has got a full plate and poised to do some great things in the next couple of years. So thank you all again. Thank you to the voters for, again, the honor of being able to represent you both at large and as District 3 rep. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill. Peter?
What you're going through, I've been through. I served on the town council from 1989 until 2002, at which time I had a lot of family issues and work-related issues, and just couldn't do it any longer. And I got off and felt all this relief, all this free time. So what did I do? I got on the Fire Commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission, the Patriots Award Committee, Literacy Volunteers, and a few other things in there too. So it's just not getting out of the community and doing nothing. It's just toning it back a little, that's all. And I'm sure you guys will still be involved down the road as well, because that's who you are. And Scott came on, I think you ran in 91, right?
Yep.
And the during that first campaign, Scott had never knocked on doors before. So I was the one that went out with him on his maiden voyage.
Yeah.
We knocked on a lot of doors, and you've done a lot more since then, I'm sure. I just want to say you both have done a great job, fully appreciate it. You're both gentlemen, and you had the best interest of the community in mind whenever you made a decision, and it's very much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Counselor Communications? All right, so I know. I'm going to go. I was going to hold this off to the end, but I'm going to do it now because I know there's some friends in the audience. They're looking at the time. Mom and Dad are home from the Cape to watch it on television. So first of all, I just want to let everyone know what an honor and a privilege it's been to serve on the council for 24 years. Little did I know what I was getting myself into back in 1991 when I ran for the first time and lost, but then ran again in 1993. And actually, your wife was my co-campaign chairman my first run. But it's been 24 years, and it seems like it's been a minute. So first of all, I want to thank the voters in Enfield. And I started in District 3, and then a couple terms ago moved to at-large to get the support of the community every 2 years is a very humbling experience. And I just hope that I've represented you well, and I hope that I've had an open ear, an open email address, phone calls, but to be engaged with the public, that's how you understand best what is the pulse of the community. But thank you so much for your support over the 24 years. No one in politics can be successful without an army of volunteers behind you, and I would be remiss if I didn't thank the Enfield Republican Town Committee. And my colleagues in the Democratic Party, they appreciate just as much their town committee and the support, especially when it comes to be election time. You need the folks behind you. They're great sounding boards. And I personally want to thank my chairman, Mary Ann Turner, currently, but all chairmen, current and in the past, who drive the party. And in Enfield, it's partisan up to Election Day, and hopefully councils and Board of Educations, for the most part, they put the politics aside when they have to make the decisions for their community. But thank you to the ERTC and our current chairman, Mary Ann. To the town of Enfield staff, and when I say staff, I hate the word staff, the employees. They do the hard work day in and day out. I always say it. They do the heavy lifting. And each and every one of you, the work that you do is appreciated not only by me, but by the community. You've got the tough job. And you face, more so than we do, you face the public and have to get the questions answered, the services delivered, and I've learned so much about the town of Enfield through the hard work of our employees. And there are two that I especially want to mention, and especially over the last 10 years. The two folks that I spoke to the most would have to be Deb McCarthy and Maya Matthews in the town manager's office. Whoever has the great fortune of being mayor next term, they will become your best friends because they keep you informed, they keep you on track, they trust you implicitly, but in return, we trust them, and they do great work for the town. So Deb and Maya, I'm going to miss the phone calls where Deb would call me in the morning and say, "Hey, sunshine, what do you think about this?" But thanks to the both. To my colleagues on the town council, both present and past, I have learned a great deal from each and every one of you. And I'm so happy that most of our decisions are unanimous, because that means we're doing the best for the town, and we're putting partisan politics aside when we can. But we also understand that sometimes the process is set up that way that a decision has to be made, and if you can't get to the point of being unanimous, try for a super majority. If not, sometimes a majority is the way it has to go. But as Gina said, you always walk away from it being treated with respect and being upfront and honest with people. And I have, honestly, I've learned so much from everyone, because everyone comes from their sphere, from their circle of influence, which in the general thing is really small. But when you take 11 of us and you put us up here, we become representatives of the community. So thank you to all of you. Plus, thank you for putting the trust in me to serve as mayor the last 10 years. That's been great because I've been able to travel the state, represent Enfield, and learn about what makes the state click, what makes the region click, and Enfield's voice needs to be at the region and at the state level. So again, whoever sits in this seat next term, Tom mentioned it, you're around, out and about. It's so important to represent Enfield at the region and at the state level. To my family and friends, and there's some friends sitting in the audience, these are the folks that really I have to thank the most, because being a public servant, it takes time away from family and friends. And so every now and then, you'd have to miss a family event, or you'd have to postpone a place you really wanted to go to on the weekend. But, you know, thank you for supporting me in what I felt was important in my life, being able to give back to the community. So, and that's the hardest part, you know, to talk about, is those relationships that mean a lot. And don't cry, because I'm not. You know, it's in some essence, I want to have more time to be able to spend with the family and with the friends. And 24 years, I've dedicated a lot, and I don't regret it at all. It's been great. I am looking forward to new opportunities and new responsibilities, and that coveted free time. But I'm not going anywhere. I'm deeply involved in Rotary and the 4th of July celebration, and Enfield Loaves and Fishes, where I really got to know Tom Arnone well, and educational resources for children, and I'm that consummate volunteer that, you know, I want to be on the town green helping out, making Enfield be a great place to live. I want to pick up trash along the Scantic. If there has to be trash there, we might as well pick it up, or along the Connecticut River. I always say this, as mayor, you have the coveted front row seat to watch a community in action. And that is probably the piece I will miss most. You get a lot of respect with the position. People think it's cool to meet the mayor, or to have them hand you something. That's the fun part. Whoever sits here, do everything that you possibly can. Soak it all in, because you see a community in action. And it's a community in action mainly by volunteers. Everyone has their passion, whatever it is, whether it's elected politics, a service organization, your church within the schools, whatever it is. Our community is better because people volunteer and make it a better community. So thank you, Enfield. Again, it's been an honor. It's been a privilege. And good luck to my colleagues on November 7th. And appreciate the confidence. And I will miss it a little. I'll watch you on ETV. I might come here and speak. But thank you very much. All right. Anyone else? Okay, good. All right. Town managers report and communications.
Thank you, Mr.
Brian.
Mayor. Having only been here 18 months, was it something I said, sir?
No.
No? All right. So with respect to, in particular, Councilor Falk's comments earlier today, on the Mullen Road Steel intersection, we are planning to put on what is that north radius in the spring, drivable grass. For those of you that want to know what drivable grass looked like, it's basically divoted brick with dirt and loam and seed in it. So it's been cropping up all over town, most notably right behind the a new mobile gas station there in front of the Enfield Square Mall. I do owe you an apology with respect to the GIS directional signage. I did go back. It's in my notes from the last meeting, but it does not show up in the minutes from the staff meeting last go-round, so I can tell you it'll show up in the staff meeting minutes this go-around tomorrow. So my apologies for that. Let's see. On the project and activities report itself, included in the packet, more than happy to answer any questions or concerns you might have about the information contained therein. I did want to touch on 3 items, though. Specifically, as you know, we have begun dedicating a great amount of time at the senior level in the organization to cost containment measures and looking at the various ways that we will need to reduce our total operating expenditures by almost $27 million. So we continue to work with the school and their administrative team to figure out what is the best least impactful way to make those reductions, if you can call $27 million in reductions least impactful. But we are spending a great deal of time on that. Later this week, on the 16th, as part of the fire chiefs meeting, one of the things that will be occurring is the Dispatch Operations Review Committee will convene for the first time. This is a group of folks that I've asked to come together with the recommendations of membership from all of the fire chiefs, from the EMS chief, as well as the end users, the police officers, other end users, police officers and dispatchers. The concept here is to provide an avenue for all of the users of the system to have input into ways that we can make the system more effective and efficient, that we can have the system perform better for all of the users, and this is rather timely as a transition from CT Chiefs, our current program, to something else may need to occur in the future as the provider of CT Chiefs will no longer be continuing to provide upgrade packages as the years go on to the software. And then last but not least, Amazon. For those of you that might not have caught Will's article or the article in the Hartford Current, we were notified by the state that our particular application was not selected for endorsement by the state. However, we are continuing to support the North Central Chamber of Commerce, as well as several of our partners to the north in Massachusetts who are actively working to put together an independent application direct to Amazon for the Enfield Mall site. So there is quite a bit of intergovernmental and interstate cooperation moving forward with respect to this project. So a long shot with all of the other folks who are going to be chasing this whale, and hopefully, like Moby Dick, it does not drag Captain Ahab to the bottom, but it is an effort we are continuing to pursue. So that being said, more than happy to take any questions or concerns from the body.
Questions? Go ahead, Peter.
Yep, through you to the manager. Received this information about a public informational meeting, state project number 139-113, bridge number 03295, Route 190 over the Connecticut River, and Amtrak Railroad, towns of Enfield and Suffield, to be held on Wednesday, November 15th, in the Enfield Town Hall Council Chambers. Can you tell me what that's all about?
That is the briefing, CONDOT's briefing with respect to the 190 bridge repairs and improvements that are scheduled to occur. So that is them providing the detailed pre-construction meeting like we would do for a roads project.
What are they going to do to the bridge? Is there a problem with it?
I am not wholly familiar with the scope of that project, but that's information that I can follow up with from Public Works.
I'd like to. Thank you.
Sure.
Questions for the town manager? Brian, thank you very much. Town attorney report and communications. Chris.
Mr. Mayor, we'll have a more detailed update in the November meeting. We have actually a few land use cases that have been filed. Went on a status conference on one today. We also have all the freedom of information cases that are pending. They've been consolidated. Final orders have been issued. The appeal schedule has been set, so we'll be doing the briefs in all of those cases, and also all of the tax appeals. The larger share are commercial, and those are all being assigned court dates as well. So I'll have a full litigation update for the council at the next meeting and give you the status of where we are in the courts and on all of the positions the town should or will be wanting to take in regard to the strategies for the litigation. So,
great. Questions for Chris? Thank you very much. Reports of special committees of the council. Any reports? Moving on to old business, town appointments, town council appointed. Is there a motion to remove item 28 from the table?
So moved.
By Councilor Falk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lee. By a show of hands, all those in favor? Those opposed? Item's been removed from the table. Nomination?
Scott, I'd like to put the nomination of Guillermo Salazar put his name into nomination for the Planning and Zoning Commission, the alternate position, which is through 12/31/2019.
Motion by Deputy Mayor Lee, seconded by Councilor Suzak. By Councilor Ludwig, seconded by Councilor Suzak. By a show of hands, all those in favor of closing nominations? Those opposed? Nominations are closed. Discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee,
Guillermo Salazar.
Councilor Ludwig,
4.
Councilor Suzak,
Guillermo Salazar.
Councilor Arnone,
4.
Councilor Bosco,
4.
Councilor Sakala,
Guillermo Salazar?
Councilor Crisati,
4.
Councilor Davis,
4.
Councilor Denny,
4.
Councilor Falk,
Guillermo Salazar.
Mayor Copeland.
Guillermo Salazar.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Any other appointments by the council? Appointments, town manager? None?
No, sir, none at this time.
And then we've got discussion resolution authorizing the town manager to sign a tower lease with option with T-Mobile Northeast LLC. And the resolution is on our table. Reads as follows: whereas the town council wishes to lease space at its communications tower located at 293 Elm Street, commonly known as the Enfield Public Safety Complex, and whereas the Planning and Zoning Commission at its November 17, 2016 meeting made a positive referral per Connecticut General Statute Section 8-24, and whereas the town council held a public hearing on November 14, 2016 to receive input from the residents of the town of Enfield regarding the proposed lease agreement. Resolved that the town manager, Brian R.H. Chadkowski, is empowered to enter into the site lease agreement, which has been reviewed and approved by the town attorney in the name and on behalf of the town of Enfield with T-Mobile Northeast LLC.
So moved.
By Councilor Falk, seconded by Councilor Denny. Any discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee,
4.
Councilor Ludwig,
4.
Councilor Suzak,
4.
Councilor Arnone,
4.
Councilor Bosco,
4.
Councilor Sakala,
4.
Councilor Crisati,
4.
Councilor Davis,
4.
Councilor Denny,
4.
Councilor Falk,
4.
Mayor Copeland.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
All right, new business. The only item that we could consider is the collective bargaining agreement. What's the will of the council? Do we want to move on that or pass? Any? What's that? Sure. All right. Discussion resolution. Resolved that the Enfield Town, Resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby approve the 4-year collective bargaining agreement between the Town of Enfield and the American Federation of State, Local, and Municipal Employees Union, ASME Local Number 4. Council Number 4, Local Number 1303-359, dated July 1, 2015 through June 30th, 2019.
So moved.
By Councilor Arnone, seconded by Councilor Crisati. Discussion. Councilor Denny?
Yes, I received a few phone calls. I just thought I would mention. I received a few phone calls from some individuals, I believe 3 or 4, I believe, that asked me to just speak their mind, I guess, for them. They were employees during this collective bargaining for the last couple of years, and they felt that they were kind of slighted in this agreement because it's retroactive dollars, and I guess with the contract and the union and how they negotiated, they're not involved in any retroactive pay because they left their employment. But they wanted me to mention it to the public, and so I did. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Further discussion, comments? I just want to make one, I'm going to support the resolution, and this has been a very long process, and we all know it's a tough economy out there. We've been very consistent in our labor agreements with our unions. I think everyone would like to be able to pay people more, and I'm just, based on the hard work and a meeting of the minds and the secretarial union coming to side really with the town and being consistent with other labor unions and the increases and the percentage of co-pays and things such as that. It was a lot of hard work to get to this point. It's important, I believe, as the new council starts working through other labor agreements, to be very consistent. And for that, I'll support it. Joey?
Honestly, I mean, I think they deserve it. I was one that really wanted to vote against only because of the situation we're in, but it would not be fair to our employees because this is something that has been going on for 2 years. So it would not be very fair to punish our employees that we've been negotiating for 2 years on because of our problem today. So I am going to support this, and one of the reasons why is they're given a little bit. They didn't get what they were looking for when they first started to try to do the negotiations. It came way down, and I just don't think it would be fair, because we have done the 2% for other people and other bargaining units, to hold these people up because of something the state did. So again, I'm going to support this, and I think it's the right thing to do.
Thanks, Joey. Mike?
Yeah, this one's tough for me too, because of everything going on with the state, but again, they are moving to the HSA, which is important, which again helps people understand the true cost of healthcare, which again hopefully gets folks motivated to be healthy. That's the way the town will survive. When it comes to claim costs, folks have to be healthy. We have to be able to manage costs. We have to get folks in good programs. So again, we did get something where they're moving to the HSA. But I think to what Joey's point, I think folks need to be clear, the manager mentioned a little bit, but as of today, if we do get cut, the amount of money that we're going to get cut, this sort of thing as we go forward will change. I want to be upfront with people and honest about it. The governor did put a new proposal out today. Maybe there's hope that they will vote on it next week, where again, it looks like Enfield won't take the massive cut that right now the executive order says we will take, which right now is $26.7 million as of today. I'm not a gloom and doomer. I'm just telling you exactly what's going on. He did propose a budget, and it looks like we would only get, and I hate to say only, but we'd only get cut about $4 million-ish, roughly. Again, I know I'm rounding numbers here, but obviously not $26 million. So, I mean, I think there was just to inform the public that there was a proposal by the governor. My understanding, legislator will meet next week. I could be wrong, but that's what my understanding what the situation is. However, as we go forward, these cuts will continue, because the state needs to live within its means. I mean, that's the reality of this situation, is whether they cut us $26 million this year or they cut us continued $4 million over the next few years. This is the reality of the economic situation when you don't live within your means. So I think I want to be upfront with folks as we move forward, that again, I think you're going to see us tighten our belt even further. But I will support this because of the HSA.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Falk.
4.
Mayor Copen.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
That completes old business, so we move to items for discussion, and all items but those involving 33 North River Street have been moved to miscellaneous, so those items will remain on the agenda for future consideration. So we will move to miscellaneous. And the first item under miscellaneous is the consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the
So
consent
moved.
agenda? By Counselor Polk, seconded by Counselor Arnone. Discussion? Sensing none, show of hands. All those in favor? Those opposed? Consent agenda is adopted. Next item is discussion resolution, request for transfer of funds for youth services, drug-free communities grant, $125,000. Resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfers hereby made to Drug-Free Communities Grant. Salaries part-time, $12,500, overtime, $5,600, Social Security, $1,122, Medicare, $263, other professional services, $58,778, printing and reproduction, $2,000, travel, $36,430, office supplies, $200, other supplies, materials, $4,957, dues and fees and subscriptions, $500, postage, $1,750, food, $900, from Drug Free Communities Grant, $125,000, certified the funds are available. John Wilcox, Director of Finance.
So moved.
By Counselor Ludwig, seconded by Counselor Arnone. Discussion? Go ahead, Bill.
Just almost an anecdote. I mean, there's a lot of grants that we see come across our desk where the town basically just has to submit a request and some agency somewhere awards the grant. Drug-free communities is not one of those. This is a really national level, hyper-competitive grant process that that a lot goes into. And it's not only does this assist our staff, but this also is part of the mechanism by which the Enfield Together Coalition operates, and that is really kind of our independent advocacy group to, combat underage drinking, and is certainly taking a big role now with opioid awareness and marijuana awareness, and both the medical and the social impacts of all of those drug uses. So I don't know if we've done it in the last couple of meetings, but I want to just offer congratulations to our team for getting an award again from Drug Free Communities, which I think is our third or fourth round of this 5-year grant. So this is not a small drop in the pan. This really is a substantial award, and it's all about data, and the data is showing that it's making an impact here in Enfield. So congratulations to them.
Thank you, Bill. Anyone else? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Falk.
4.
Mayor Copen.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Next item, discussion resolution, request for transfer funds for South River Street Bridge, $565,911. Resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfers hereby made to South River Street Bridge, other professional fees, $128,000, construction services, $437,911, from South River Street Bridge grant revenue, $565,911, certified the funds are available. John Wilcox, Director of Finance.
So moved.
By Counselor Arnone,
Second.
seconded by Counselor Crissati. Discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Falk.
4.
Mayor Copen.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Next item, discussion resolution approving transfer of funds to close fiscal year 2017. Resolved that in accordance with Chapter 6, Section 8F of the Town Charter, the following transfer referred to as Attachment A is hereby made. Certification, I hereby certify that the funds stated in Attachment A are available as of October 6, 2017. John A. Wilcox, Director of Finance.
So moved.
By Deputy Mayor Lee, seconded by Councilor Sakala. Discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Falk.
4.
Mayor Copeland.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, no abstentions.
Next item, discussion resolution. Resolution authorizing the police auxiliary donation account to automatically be appropriated. Whereas the Enfield Town Council has authorized the Enfield Police Department on behalf of the Enfield Police Auxiliaries to establish revenue account 2340610341750 in order to allow citizens to submit donations to the Enfield Police Auxiliaries. Now therefore be it resolved, in keeping with the long-standing tradition of the Enfield Police Auxiliaries, the Enfield Town Council specifies that any donations received by the Enfield Police Auxiliaries will be committed toward the purchases of equipment, operational costs, and any other costs related to the daily operations of the Enfield Police Auxiliaries and may be paid from the account 234061035890000. Be it further resolved that any unspent appropriations in account 234061035890000 remaining at the end of each fiscal year shall be appropriated in the following fiscal year until all such donations are spent.
So moved.
Yeah, what account that was? Counselor Arnone. Motion, seconded by Counselor Denny. Discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Falk.
4.
Mayor Copeland.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
All right, discussion resolution regarding the acquisition of 28 South River Street. Whereas the Enfield Town Council wishes to acquire from Rita M. Neal et al. A 1.55 acre parcel of land located at 28 South River Street and identified as Assessor's Map ID 8-19. And whereas acquisition of the property would provide an opportunity for the town to address future municipal and recreational needs. And whereas the council must refer the proposed acquisition to the Planning and Zoning Commission for a report in conformance with the requirements of Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24. Now therefore be it resolved that the proposed acquisition of the property hereby be referred to the Planning and Zoning Commission in conformance with the requirements of Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24.
So moved.
By Counselor Arnone, seconded by Counselor Sakala. Discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crisati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Falk.
4.
Mayor Copeland.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
Next item, discussion resolution. Resolution authorizing the town manager to enter into a purchase agreement for the acquisition of 28 South River Street. And this is where I'm going to insert the language. Whereas the Enfield Town Council wishes to acquire the 1.55 acre parcel of land located at 28 South River Street and identified as Lot 19 on Assessor's Map 8. No, I'm sorry, I'm reading the same one over again. Let me go to the next one. No, is it?
That was right.
Is it right? Okay. I just saw 8-24 again. All right. Whereas acquisition of the property would provide an opportunity for the town to address future municipal and recreational needs. Whereas pursuant to Connecticut General Statute, Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24, the Town Council has referred this acquisition to the Planning and Zoning Commission for report in conformance with the requirements of Connecticut General Statute, Section 8-24. Now therefore be it resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby authorize the town manager to enter into a purchase agreement for $28,500, subject to review and approval by the town attorney, for the property at 28 South River Street, identified as Lot 19 on Assessor's Map 8.
So moved.
By Councilor Falk, seconded by Deputy Mayor Lee. Discussion? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
4.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
4.
Counselor Denny.
4.
Counselor Falk.
4.
Mayor Copeland.
4.
There's 11 in favor, none against, and no abstentions.
And our next item, discussion resolution amending the employment agreement of the town manager for the town of Enfield. Whereas pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 1 of the Town Charter, the Enfield Town Council appointed Brian R.H. Chadkowski as town manager for the town of Enfield on May 9th, 2016. And resolved that the Enfield Town Council does hereby authorize Mayor Scott Copeland to sign the attached amendment to employment agreement with Brian R.H. Chadkowski as town manager for the town of Enfield.
So moved.
By Councilor Falk, seconded by Councilor Suzak. Discussion. So just from me, real quick, the council, and one of the things that we wanted to do is make sure that the current council had a evaluation review of our town manager. And through that, it's a great process, not only to understand where the council feels Brian is going within the position, but we also ask some questions about overall how departments are running and things. So it's great feedback. It's something that we should do as a council every year. It tends to slide a little, but we did want to get this review and evaluation. Brian, in your comments under town manager, you asked, you've only been here 18 months, and why I was leaving, well, really the reason why I'm still sitting here is because I knew 2+ years ago that our town manager would be moving on, and I felt it would be important to stay on the council for another 2 years to help select a new town manager. And I think you've done a great job here in Enfield. I get a lot of positive feedback about your engagement with the community. When people hear you speak, attend something that you've either presented at or just had a side discussion, they walk away feeling that we're in very good hands with you as our town manager. So thanks. It's a big move from the Midwest to here, and finally your family has joined you, and hopefully that eases the separation and all the travel that you experienced. So it's that was one of the reasons why I stayed for 2 more years, and I think we made the right choice. So anyone else? Sensing none, roll call, please.
Deputy Mayor Lee.
4.
Counselor Ludwig.
4.
Counselor Suzak.
4.
Counselor Arnone.
Against.
Counselor Bosco.
4.
Counselor Sakala.
4.
Counselor Crissati.
4.
Counselor Davis.
Against.
Counselor Denny.
Against.
Counselor Falk.
4.
And Mayor Copeland.
4.
We have 8 in favor, 3 against, and no abstentions.
All right, that completes miscellaneous. Next item is our public communications. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the council? Tracy? You waved. Yeah. All right, no public communications, counselor communications. Any final counselor communications? Go ahead, Liz.
Real quick, Mr. Mayor, I want to congratulate you on earning your first readers. Good job.
Might be the first medal I've ever won, so thank you. Anyone else? Sensing none, motion to adjourn by Counselor Ludwig, seconded by Counselor Suzak. By a show of hands, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you, Enfield. Have a good night.
Oh, gavel at home.